As Melissa mentioned, I'm the bicycle program manager for the Charlotte Department of Transportation, Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Charlotte just leaps as a bicycle-friendly city in your mind, doesn't it? Well, actually, 10 years ago, if I was making this presentation about a bicycle-friendly Charlotte, you would have heard crickets chirp. My presentation would have taken 2 minutes, and that would have been more of a plea to help us. In the last 10 years, Charlotte has come a very long way. We were, in 2005, as Bill mentioned, an honorable mention city as a bicycle-friendly community. I think a very fair assessment, maybe a generous assessment. In 2008, we were named a bronze-level bicycle-friendly city. I think a very fair assessment. We have done a lot since 2008. So our next evaluations in 2012. We hope to reflect everything we've done on our new application, and we'll see where we stand. But being named a bicycle-friendly city in Charlotte has been a tremendous asset. Here are some of the benefits. Provides direction on what we've done right. Okay, here's what you've done. It's good. You're getting an award for it. Continue on that path. Provides direction on where we need to improve. Your enforcement is weak. You need to spend more time on that. You need to do more education programs. So we need to help raise awareness so we have direction on where to go. It gives us a focus on a goal. Before the Bicycle-Friendly Community Program, there was nothing. It was just doing it because it was the right thing to do, which is a noble goal. That's a fine goal, but it's the right thing to do. Now there's recognition of what you're doing. And it raises bicycle awareness and recognition. You would not believe some of the looks I get from people who do not bicycle when they tell me Charlotte is a too dangerous place to bicycle. And I respond, but we have an award as a bicycle-friendly community. Then I can list off all the things we've done that sort of starts to change their perception. But here's the big question. Why do we even want to be bicycle-friendly? Why is Charlotte making all this investment and all this effort? Air quality. You're from all parts of the country where Charlotte is a non-attainment area. We have trouble with air quality. As a Department of Transportation, that's what we are. We're a Department of Transportation, not a Department of Motor Vehicles. We recognize that every person that takes a bike trip, that takes a walk trip, that's one less motor vehicle trip, especially the short trips, which is even worse for air quality. Congestion. Here's a big one. I don't know if you've heard this secret, but in the next 25 to 30 years, every man, woman, and child currently living in Cincinnati is moving to Charlotte. That is true. Our projected population growth over the next 25 years is equal to the population of the entire city of Cincinnati. They're bringing their cars with them. They're not bringing their streets. They're bringing their cars. We're going to have more congestion. Now, some people say congestion is bad, it's terrible, it's awful. As a bicycle commuter, I can get through congestion pretty easy. I don't have that much of a problem with it. But most successful, economically vibrant cities around the world have congestion problems. It's an unfortunate byproduct of a healthy city. We believe that congestion, for the most part, is here to stay. We can try to relieve it, but it's going to probably always be some kind of congestion. So as a Department of Transportation, what can we do to give people more choices? And bicycling is one of them. Fuel efficiency goes without saying. Price of gas keeps going higher, yet the price of bagels, roughly the same. So bicyclists benefit by not having to pay high fuel prices. Neighborhood friendly. In a previous life, I was a city planner. and I was a zoning administrator and a subdivision administrator. And if you've ever been to a zoning administration meeting or a city council zoning hearing, and people in neighborhoods are opposed to rezonings, does anyone know what the single most popular anti-sentiment is to a rezoning? Traffic through the neighborhood. Bicycles are neighborhood friendly. They don't put out any noises. For the most part, no bad fumes. They're not threats to children, they're not threats to animals, to pets. In fact, if you didn't see the cyclist going through your neighborhood, you wouldn't know he was there. So we recognize the bicycle as a neighborhood-friendly means of transportation. Cost, we want to be bicycle-friendly up front because it's a lot more economical and efficient to build this stuff the first time around than to try to retrofit later. And in Charlotte's case, we're trying to do a lot of retrofitting. But we have policies in place, our Transportation Action Plan, our Urban Street Design Guidelines. We have transportation policies that basically require us to use pedestrian and bicycle-friendly features in all new street designs. Availability. We want to be a bicycle-friendly city because the bicycles are here. Just within the city limits of Charlotte is an estimated 300,000 bicycles. That number surprises a lot of people. Now, that includes all bikes, kids' bikes, but they ride too. They need safe places to ride. A lot of those bikes are sitting in garages with dry rotted tires and lots covered in dust because the people tell me they feel uncomfortable on the streets. Sometimes I think it's rationalization for not getting the exercise, but sometimes I think it's true. We want to be a more bicycle-friendly city so they'll feel more comfortable getting out and riding. Not just our legion of lycra-clad that we have here in Charlotte, but for the average citizen. And motivation. People have lots of good reasons for riding bicycles. Like I said, we have the lycra army. We have the training groups. We have the people who want to go out and do biathlons or triathlons, competitive things. We have people who ride the bikes because that's their best option. Whether it's for economic reasons, for health reasons, they can't drive a car. They may not have good transit service where they live, even though Charlotte has an excellent transit system. But becoming a bicycle-friendly community is much more than bike lanes. As the bicycle program manager, the first thing I hear from people is we want more bike lanes, and this city loves bike lanes. But it's much more than just putting a stripe on the road. Here are some of the common barriers to cycling. Most cities have this. Charlotte sure has its share. Lack of connectivity, which I think is the single biggest problem that Charlotte has to face, because for years and years during Charlotte's biggest growth period, the cul-de-sac was king, which forced all cyclists and everybody to use the same busy roads. We don't allow cul-de-sacs in most instances anymore. Narrow, no secondary street access to destinations. You'll find wonderful destinations in Charlotte completely surrounded by neighborhoods, but you got to take a 3-mile trip on a major roadway to get there. And bridges only on major roads. But we're overcoming a lot of these over the last few years. Narrow, high-speed roadways without bicycle accommodation. No end-of-trip facilities. Bicycle parking was a complete stranger in Charlotte. We adopted the bicycle parking regulations in 2005, and they've been very helpful. Unfavorable roadway features and inadequate maintenance, we're overcoming that. And what I think is our chief challenge, the fear or perception of danger. In many cases, people in this city are afraid to cycle because they are simply afraid to, but without any basis on reality. And you can't blame them. If you watch the news reports and you find a cyclist involved in a major crash on a Charlotte television station, it may have occurred in a city 30 miles away. If you look at a headline in the newspaper, cyclist hit by an automobile, You see this big headline, you read the story, it happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the cyclists did not have lights. But the perception is there that Charlotte is a difficult or dangerous place to cycle. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of some of the projects we've done, for the most part, since 2008. There are others, but as you mentioned, we have urban street design guidelines. All of these projects were constructed using our urban street design guidelines. You will notice there's a common consistency. Streets, they're very pedestrian friendly and bicycle friendly. This is Rosal's Ferry Road, Central Avenue, Charlottetown Avenue, Cindy Lane, DeWitt Lane, East Boulevard. This was a street conversion. Well, it's 2 lanes in each direction. Now it's 1 lane in each direction with bike lanes and pedestrian crossings. Hickory Grove Road, Old Pineville Road, which was changed or modified when we built the light rail line to make it more beneficial, more efficient for cyclists to get to the light rail stations. Stonewall Avenue. That doesn't look like Stonewall. That's Stonewall Avenue. There we go. So that's Prosperity Church Road, Stonewall Avenue, West Moorhead Street, Archdale Drive, Clanton Road, another conversion project, Morrisfield Drive, and that's Morrisfield, and West Trade Rosal's Ferry intersection, major intersection to the north side of town. You see we have much more pedestrian-friendly crossings and some bicycle facilities. Connectivity, as I mentioned before, you had 2 low-volume neighborhood streets that did not connect. All it took was a simple layer of concrete and a couple of bollards, and now you have a bicycle-friendly connection to allow a longer distance on a bicycle-friendly street. Believe it or not, this simple little project creates great angst. In this particular case, that great angst came from one individual who called me every day for 2 months complaining about this. No, it was caused by a person who lived there after it was built, who was trying to stop it from being built. I couldn't understand his concerns because it certainly wasn't creating any traffic problems. Turns out he didn't like his neighbor, and his neighbor was using this facility. Bicycle parking. I cannot stress how important this is. As a bicycle commuter myself, as someone who does most of my errands on a bicycle, to ride up into a grocery store, shopping center, and see literally hundreds of empty car parking spaces and not so much as a pole to lock a bike to can be very frustrating. But we have installed more bicycle parking, such as on the streets in uptown Charlotte where we have the room. Charlotte is the interesting place. It has a lot of narrow sidewalk streets. The picture on the upper right is an example of what the businesses have started to do here in Charlotte, putting in bicycle parking on their own, sometimes related to our bicycle parking ordinance. But in the lower right-hand photograph is bicycle parking that was applied before we had an ordinance. The bicycle commuters in that building, that's one of the tall skyscrapers in downtown Charlotte. The bicycle commuters in that building who used to park willy-nilly all over the place in the loading dock area went to the building management and said, can you give us a parking rack, a bike rack? This is what we would like to have. This is how much it cost. And the building management said, sure, we can do that. So now they put a bike rack in the loading dock in a secure area. It's out of the way of all the equipment moving around it, so everybody benefits. And of course, our bicycle parking ordinance requires lockage by U-lock to the bike rack to the frame. A simple wheel bender rack will not apply, will not suffice. One thing Charlotte stresses to be bicycle friendly is a seamless connection from bicycle transportation to transit. Every one of our buses has bike racks. We have bicycle parking lockers and racks at virtually all light rail stations. Our train has as long as the train is running, there are no bicycle restrictions, no rush hour restrictions. If you can get the bike on there, you can take it on there. This is how it has grown. In 2001, when we started keeping numbers, we had just under 20,000 bicycle boardings on CATS buses. In 2010, we had over 80,000 bicycle boardings on CATS buses. And in 2011, this year, which is not over yet, we are ahead of the 2010 numbers at this time. The point I'm making here is that people are beginning to discover how easy it is to get around Charlotte, combining a bike trip with a bus trip. You will notice that except for 2009, the economic downturn, we have set a record of bicycle use every single year, bicycle rack use. We try to do a lot of different things to raise awareness, to get people excited about cycling here, to recognize that we are a bicycle-friendly community. We have not a bike week, we have a bike fortnight. Not many people use that term anymore, fortnight. We have a bike fortnight. We have a 2-week period of bike week, including our ever-popular Mayor's Ride to Breakfast. Number of bicycle rodeos, trying to train the kids to be better drivers or being better cyclists. We put out signage, share the road signage, bike route signage. And in the lower right photograph, you probably can't read it, but there's a sign locked to that bike on that bike rack uptown. That sign says, "Don't have time to work out, do it on the way home." When we installed the downtown bike racks, we strategically placed a series of bicycles on some of those racks with 4 little signs on them. Those strategically placed bicycles were there for a reason, to draw attention to the racks that were new, what they were for, maybe get some people to think about riding the bikes to work, and at least to help raise awareness to people who aren't going to ride their bikes to work that other people might. So we had little catchy little signs on there. This vehicle runs on alternative fuel, donuts. Sit on your butt and do something, which was very popular. Interestingly enough, a gentleman I knew was in Japan, and he came across a Japanese magazine written in Japanese script. But in the middle of that magazine was that picture. I have no idea what it was saying, but it had that picture. And you see the word Charlotte amongst all those things. But here's what the challenges the BFC can help meet. We have lots of cyclists in Charlotte. We have a lot of cyclists in Charlotte. But we don't have lots of these statistically relevant bicycle commuters. It seems like whenever anyone is looking at statistics, they focus on the bicycle commuter, not on the whole bicycle population. You know, cities have their own individual personalities. If you go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, Carrboro, North Carolina, Gainesville, Florida, they're deemed as bicycle friendly. They have one thing in common. They are major university towns, and they're going to have large bicycle populations. You come to Charlotte, North Carolina, second only to New York as a financial center, a gray suit city, a BMW city. You don't have quite the percentage of bicycle commuters that you will have in a college town. So we're trying to build up a level of more bicycle commuting through use of awareness and facilities, so perhaps we can become statistically relevant. And overcoming the past. As I mentioned when I first started speaking, 10 years ago, we had virtually nothing in terms of bicycles. Today, we have much, much more. Bike maps, bike lanes, signed routes, connections, transit access. I could go on and on and on. But we're new. 10 years of this. People have been living in this city for 50 years. It's having to give them a mindset. You know, Charlotte is really starting to change here. And it's taking place. We're seeing it more and more. People are recognizing hey, you know, we can bike around Charlotte. We can walk around Charlotte safely. And getting our message out. Being named a bicycle-friendly community helps us get that message out. It gets press. We can post signs saying it in strategic locations. So moving forward, as I mentioned, our next renewal is in 2012. We have had many more additions to our infrastructure, policy, and educational awareness since our bronze level designation in 2008. Previous applications were done by staff. The 2005 application, I heard about it about a week before it was due, so I pounded out something real quick and sent it in. 2008, we had 2 staff people who spent much more time compiling the data, the information, and putting in a much better application. This year, and I recommend this if you have one, our Bicycle Advisory Committee, a joint city-county committee appointed by the county commissioners and city council, they established a silver committee on their own with the goal to do the application themselves and to use all their diverse knowledge. And quite frankly, it's very helpful because when only staff does it, I don't know what all the advocates are doing. I don't know what all the clubs are doing. They do. They have a much broader background of knowledge to help make a better application. But I think one of the most important things is the confidence. Being a BFC has let people say, hey, we can do this. We are a bicycle-friendly city. 5 years ago, they wouldn't have said that. This year, they say, we've done a lot, and we deserve recognition for it. So the confidence level is much higher than it used to be. There, that's it for me. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned your bike parking regulations. Do you have any requirements for businesses that add showers or lockers for people?
We do not have requirements for showers and lockers, and unfortunately we did, but we have a very strong bicycle parking ordinance. That was the one piece that had to be compromised out to get it passed. However, we left in there an encouragement that they can reduce automobile parking requirements if they put in shower and locker facilities.
If you're going to restripe a road that's currently striped with a large middle turning lane and traffic on both sides, is there a way to aesthetically remove those stripes or cover them over, or do you have to wait till that road is resurfaced before you can do it aesthetically? You know, because we had a road that the planner said, oh, that was supposed to have bike lanes, but we missed that opportunity. But it's wide enough that it's not striped properly, so they said we'll have to just wait till it's resurfaced again if it's going to look right, because you can't really black the old markings out or take them off.
Aesthetically, they're correct. You can remove lines, which is oftentimes difficult to do after resurfacing because it will leave some nasty residue. You can paint out white lines with black. Again, you're going to notice they were there. In Charlotte, in just about every instance where we've done that, we've waited till the resurfacing. So, yeah. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, are your bicycle design guidelines strictly for the city of Charlotte, or are they implemented by the other communities within Mecklenburg County?
Strictly within the city of Charlotte, but some of the other communities have used them as a model to develop some of their own.
And also keep in mind, Charlotte is almost the size of Mecklenburg County. We cover almost the entire county.
I saw another question over here, I thought. Okay. If there's no more questions, I'd like to thank you for coming to Charlotte, home of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and a bicycle-friendly community. Moving forward, still got a lot to do, but we're certainly moving in the right direction. And if you have any other questions you want to speak with me about later, I'm Ken Tippette. I'll be around periodically. You'll see me. And I'm sitting right here for the rest of this session. Thank you.